pour par.
Man, from the crack house to the house of God. Well, what's that all about, Brother Jay? What's from the crack house? What is it all about? Well, if you have a chance, I encourage you, number one, to pick you up a copy. Pick up a couple copies and bless somebody with, because I believe, that their deliverance, their healing, and their breakthrough is going to be found in the 180 pages of this book that's going to revolutionize somebody's life. But if I had to sum up from the crack house, number one is autobiographical. And what autobiographical means simply is something written by myself about myself. This book and every 180 pages of it is about myself. Every gory story, every indiscretion, every mishap, every bit of frustration, every bit of disappointment, it's all mine. There's nothing prefabricated about it. There's nothing made up about it. This book, From the Crack House to the House of God, it's me. It's not only is it me, it's who I used to be and the process that God went through to get me to become the man that I am today, which is not a finished product, but it's a work in process, a work in progress, should I say, excuse me. And it's also thoroughly instructional. All right, when I say thoroughly instructional, clarify, Jason, thoroughly instructional. There are proven principles in what we call the Bible that have been proven to help people get healed, help people get delivered, help people get set free. And just going through the book in my mind, I remember penning what has become very important to me in my life and in my struggle and in my triumph, and that's prayer. And one of the things that stand out in my mind about the book being thoroughly instructional is Matthew 6. And if you ever get a chance, I'm not asking you to get converted, I'm not asking you to join nobody's church, but if you have an opportunity, read Matthew 6. And what Matthew 6 is about is commonly known as the Lord's Prayer. But in actuality, it wasn't the Lord's Prayer, it was a prayer that the Lord taught the disciples to prepare them for the day that they would, the attack of the enemy, that they would need something to hold on to if he wasn't around. And that's what prayer is for. Prayer teaches us how to wait on God. Prayer teaches us how to call on God. Prayer teaches us how to be intimate in fellowship with God. If you happen to read Matthew 6, it starts with Our Father. And I know it has been reduced to just rhetoric, the Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. But it's more than that. Because if you read chapter 6, beginning at verse 9, I believe it is, it says, Our Father, who art in heaven. But what appealed to me most and what stood out to me the most was when it says Our Father, which means that there is a certain sect of people that can only say that prayer. When it says Our Father, that means when you say Our Father, you are calling him Daddy. There is a certain level of intimacy that you display with your Father. There are certain things that you could get from your Father that you can't get from somebody else. So for anybody to say Our Father denotes intimacy, denotes relationship. And that is to say that you must have some sort of relationship in order to recite this prayer. And it goes on to talk about, give us this day our daily bread. And that it means to give us what we need to make it on the inside. Give us more than just something to eat, which is what he did with the people that followed him. But the people that were with him, that were closest to him, understood that they need more than just natural food to survive. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what you need, more than natural food. And it also talks about forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Now I'm going to ask you this question. It says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Do you really want God to forgive you like you forgiven other people? All right, let me move on. I'll give you something to think about. It goes on to say that it's highly controversial. Controversial. Everybody loves controversy. Controversy. Why is it controversial, Brother Jay? What makes your book more controversial than the next? And I'm not saying it's more controversial than the next person's book. All I know is that the subject matter that I deal with is controversial in the circles that I roll in. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta admit, you know what I mean? You church folk that are out there, I have a whole entire chapter dedicated just to you. Not necessarily to air any dirty laundry, not necessarily to put anybody on Front Street or put anybody on blast, but it's to bring the light to you for you to understand that when people like me come, we're coming with not only our own ideologies, we're coming with everything that we've learned over a life of bondage. And we come because you represent the ark of safety. And I believe that it's controversial because bottom line, I talk about some stuff that people don't want to talk about. I touch on subjects that people kind of consider to be taboo. You know, I kind of shine a light on stuff that people want to keep in darkness. You understand what I'm saying? So I encourage you, yeah, it's controversial, you know, because I'm saying the stuff that some of y'all are just thinking. You understand what I'm saying? I'm touching on and I'm pulling the covers back on some of the stuff that y'all just kind of sweeping under the rug and throwing dirt on it so nobody will see. Because I've learned the same dirt that was thrown on me is the same dirt that God is going to use for me to step on to rise to the fullness of what he has for me. Say amen. And it goes on, and I believe the book is a spiritually motivational masterpiece. Why is it motivational, Jason? Why is it motivational? Because I believe, and I'm not tooting my own horn, and I'm not saying that my story is any better than anybody else's story. But what I will say is, my story is a real feel-good story. Young boy broken, young boy battered, young boy spiritually bruised, sexually abused, grows up to become God's man. That's a feel-good story. Not a feel-good story about me, per se, a feel-good story about who God is, what God can do if we give him an opportunity to do so. So it's going to motivate you because it's going to want you to want better for somebody else. It's going to motivate you because it's going to force you to look at yourself. It's a motivator because it's going to make you want something better for yourself. It's going to motivate you to go higher in what God has for you. So I guess I'm kind of partial to From the Crack House to the House of God. I mean, because I'm an author now, and I'm feeling real good about God and what He's doing. I just am, But this is not to speak to any of accomplishment that I've done. And it also, thank you, and it also is going to motivate you because there are some of you out there who have dreams. You ain't got to be a writer. There are some of you out there that have aspirations to